Tonight on our news, life cut short. The father of a slain athlete speaks out as the community mourns the tragic death of his son. Plus, the Privy Council rules against a convicted child killer's appeal. Find out the grounds of its ruling. Also on heightened alert, the kidnapping of a Bahamian embassy official in Haiti, prompting more security. And later, road work woes. Motorists react as back-to-school traffic is backed up. Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. The father of the young Bahamian athlete Chavez Hart, who was shot and killed outside a nightclub in Mount Hope, Abaco, over the weekend is speaking out, calling the incident that led to his son's murder unfortunate. He says his son was a young man who had high hopes and big dreams. Hart, also known as Sparky, would have been celebrating his 30th birthday tomorrow. His father, Sidney Hart, says his son, who was born and raised in Abaco, excelled in track and field from a young age, prompting him to move to Grand Bahama for high school. He then received multiple scholarships to colleges abroad, where he represented the Bahamas across the world, winning a number of medals. He says he and his son spent time together before his untimely death and recalls receiving a phone call around 2 a.m. that he was shot, following an argument that his son tried to defuse.
To me as a father, I have never thought to wonder how I feel about it. I didn't see myself, none of my kids going before me. I was looking at them to bury me.
And to the person ultimately responsible, his father saying, quote, "You took a life that happens to be my son."
I like not accepting it, that like it didn't happen, you know? And I guess because of the life he lived, Chavez is a person whose body is so humble. He's not materialistic. He's not a show-off.
Hart's former coach, Blaine Wiley, says the news is devastating, noting that Hart remains a record holder at South Plains College, one of the schools he attended. Bahamian athlete Anthony Strawn calling Hart a great man, coach, student, and all-around athlete, adding that his son will never get to experience such a memorable and dedicated man. Bahamian athlete Therese Smith also saddened upon learning news, saying that Hart's passing comes as a major loss to the entire track and field community. The nation's leader also noting Hart's contribution to the country, sending his condolences to his family. His father thanking the country for the love shown to his son.
Chavez came back and gave back to his community. Was running basketball camp, track camp, taking people on the beach training. And he said, "Daddy, you know, I came here on a job hunt, and somehow he feel like it wasn't going his way, but it didn't deter him from giving back to the community."
Convicted child killer Kofi Goodman's fight for his freedom has come to an end. The country's highest court has denied him a last chance appeal against his conviction and a 55-year sentence for the murder of 11-year-old Marco Archer. The Privy Council dismissing Goodman's application, saying the proposed appeal is devoid of merit and has no prospect of success. The 47-year-old has been tried twice for Marco's murder. Marco was last seen alive on September 23, 2011, when he left his home at Broome Street to go to a shop in his neighborhood. A frantic search for the missing child ended tragically on September 28th when Marco's badly decomposed body was found behind the Yorkshire Street townhouse complex where Goodman lived. Marco's naked body was wrapped in a floral flat sheet that matched a fitted sheet found on the bed in Goodman's room. Police say his clothing, underwear, and slippers were found in a garbage in front of the complex. Marco's and Goodman's DNA were found on the clothing. Prosecutors argued that Goodman kidnapped Marco with the intention of sexually abusing him and killed him with a blow to the back of his head when Marco resisted. Goodman was first convicted of Marco's murder in August of 2013 and sentenced to death in October of the same year. However, in September 2016, the Court of Appeal overturned the conviction and sentence due to pre-trial publicity and the conduct of defense counsel. Goodman was convicted for a second time on May 30, 2017. At a sentencing hearing on May 7, 2018, Goodman was sentenced to 55 years in prison. However, the sentence was reduced to 48 years after taking into account the 7 years that Goodman had spent on remand. The Court of Appeal dismissed Goodman's challenge to his conviction and sentence on June 14, 2021. A man who was arrested on allegations that he molested an 8-year-old girl who contracted a sexually transmitted disease has been unanimously acquitted. Prosecutors alleged the 32-year-old man, who cannot be named for legal reasons, molested his live-in girlfriend's daughter between March 1st and April 13th. He denied the charge of unlawful sexual intercourse before trial Justice Deborah Frazier. Police say they began an investigation in April 2018 after the young girl was treated for genital warts. The girl implicated the man when the examining doctor asked if anyone was molesting her. Defense lawyer Breon Ferguson telling jurors the medical evidence did not support her claims since the man did not have genital warts. However, testing revealed that he had untreated chlamydia, which had not been passed on to his accuser. The controversy over marital rape taking the spotlight once again after a Supreme Court ruling last week. The Prime Minister weighing in on the issue today, saying violence is violence. With more on this, our Berthany McDermott joins us now in studio. Berthany?
Italia Prime Minister Philip Davis is calling a recent Supreme Court ruling curious after a wife accused her husband of having sex with her numerous times against her will.
Violence is violence. I don't like describing rape at all. I think marital is descriptive, that detracts from the substance of what rape is all about.
Davis reasoning that the law says if a husband and wife are separated, rape can occur. On August 29th, Supreme Court Justice J. Denise Lewis Johnson granted a woman a divorce on the grounds of cruelty. The woman claimed her husband would force intercourse and made her feel like a rape victim throughout the marriage. The controversial ruling adding that there is no rape in marriage, reigniting calls for government to take action on marital rape.
It's curious that a judge can say that a woman who claims that she was raped by her husband cannot use that as a ground of divorce when physical abuse could be, and rape is physical abuse.
Last week, Social Services Minister Obi Wilchcombe saying it's time to stop sitting on the fence on marital rape issues, while today the Prime Minister once again denouncing all forms of violence.
Relationships are being stretched by reasons of egos and personalities and all the external issues that impact relationships, and we need to be able to address those by getting to the root causes of why people act in the way they do.
Now, Italia, the Social Service Minister, also telling our news recently that government will hold a meeting with the Christian Council on the issue of marital rape on September 15th. It's something we will continue to follow. Italia.
Thanks so much, Berthany. We've got more to get to in a moment, but for now, temperatures soaring up to 90 degrees in the capital today. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with a look at our current situation.
Yeah, Talia, we've been stuck in this warm weather pattern for the last couple of days, and temperatures reflective of that right now. 88 degrees outside our studios with a few clouds. Southeast winds at 8 miles per hour, is bringing in that warm tropical air mass. Your feels like temperature or the heat in the sea, 94 degrees. On our radar, some spotty showers mainly across the northwest Bahamas, most of it pushing into the Florida area under the Gulf of Mexico. But abundant sunshine today, keeping us rather warm and toasty. Steamy sunshine will continue through tomorrow. A couple isolated showers likely tonight through tomorrow, but expect quiet conditions once again. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. And when our news comes back, the kidnapping of a Bahamian embassy official in Haiti leads to heightened security, plus a memorial for Hurricane Dorian victims on Grand Bahama 3 years later, and the traffic nightmare that's got motorists dreading the morning commute. This Back to School is all coming up when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
Prime Minister Philip Davis says government is looking to beef up security at the Bahamian embassy in Haiti following the kidnapping of an official on that island last weekend. Officials were given the option to return home, but Davis says none of them have taken the opportunity. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is saying that officials remain concerned about the safety of diplomats in Haiti.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs would have put in place, would ask persons to be vigilant, be more vigilant about their surroundings, and I think they are looking at how they could beef up their security.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs reporting that the incident took place around 6 a.m. on Thursday in the employee's neighborhood. Haitian police are said to be investigating the incident. While the Prime Minister says he does not know the full details of the matter, National Security Minister Wayne Monroe saying the embassy got an arms upgrade when the Davis administration took office.
Say that since coming to office, we were asked to upgrade the arms to the security detachment at that embassy, and we have in fact upgraded the weapons available to the security staff at that embassy.
The Hurricane Dorian Memorial events in Grand Bahama concluding this past Sunday at Jubilee Cathedral. Bringing remarks at the memorial service was Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper and Minister for Grand Bahama Ginger Moxie.
We do not know the names of all who died, but we have mourned them just the same. And we are all tired and weary, but we cannot rest until the restoration is complete.
We shall rise and be stronger as a result of the storms we have encountered. Let's stand together, for we know that in unity and in collaboration there's strength.
Also bringing remarks, opposition leader and member of parliament for Marco City, Michael Pintard.
There has to be a sense of urgency about how we help people to rebuild. The church is doing it in praying and ministering to people. Some of the NGOs are trying, but they're under-resourced. As policymakers, I'm here because I stand with Chester Cooper and the members of this government in our collective attempt to rebuild, but there has to be a greater sense of urgency.
Days after the Hurricane Dorian Memorial in Abaco, one of two Abaco MPs says he was not too happy with the poor attendance. But he says he understands why Abaconians chose to not show up. Berthany McDermott has the details.
After a low turnout at the Hurricane Dorian Memorial Service on Thursday, North Abaco Member of Parliament Kirk Cornish says he's disappointed. However, he says he understands the sentiment of his constituents not wanting to relive the horrors of Monster Storm Dorian.
The disappointing part is I would like to see Abaconians come in large numbers to support anything that is for Abaco. But however, I understand the position they find themselves in. But yeah, I would have liked to see that church full to capacity. That was the disappointment, but it wasn't, and I understand why.
The memorial service was one of many events held by the Davis administration to commemorate the lives lost during Hurricane Dorian. The ceremony was held at Friendship Tabernacle Church in Dundastown, Abaco. While the lower level of the church looked full, an entire section was filled with government officials, the majority of whom flew in for the service.
There are some that doesn't want to relive the memories, and there are some who really wants to not celebrate but recognize and honor those that we lost. So it's mixed emotions, and I think that was a reflection.
3 years after the storm battered Abaco and Grand Bahama, both islands are still in the rebuilding process. The North Abaco MP says he believes the day is worth remembering.
I believe that we should not celebrate, but we should recognize the ones we lost. We should honor them. Countries around the world, they have monuments, they have national days that really recognize their war veterans. September 11, the staff in the building whose life was lost. So I support recognizing those loved ones. Remember that those are our kids, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and their memories deserve to be honored.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. Now, Prime Minister Philip Davis says he will not be satisfied with efforts to rebuild on Abaco until some normalcy takes shape and government is able to address the existing housing crisis. His comments coming days after the country marked the 3rd anniversary of Hurricane Dorian, which devastated both Abaco and Grand Bahama.
I will not be pleased until I can find homes to put over the head of most of those persons who don't have homes. I will not be pleased until I'm sure that normalcy has been returned to the lives of those people in Abaco. And that's still a challenge.
During a memorial service on Abaco Thursday, the Prime Minister said he was not pleased with the rates of recovery, but that his government has taken steps to assist Abaconians.
Since taking office, we have accelerated our plans. We have set up a homeowners assistance relief program to help them immediately. As you will know, for at least 2.5 years, there was nothing done. But we have been giving people homes. We have built homes. We gave at least two homes while we were there. Other homes are now being constructed.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, the Village Road Improvement Project, a pain in the wheels of motorists this back-to-school season.
Plus, Italia coming up in sports for tonight. Jonquil Jones and the Connecticut Sun struggling a bit as they try to go up against the Chicago Sky, now on the verge of elimination. We'll tell you details on that. We'll also tell you about a mother and son headed off to represent the country in archery. That's all coming up in sports.
Thanks, Marcellus. And later, exciting times for students in Hopetown as they head back to the classroom for the first time in 3 years. The story when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
You're watching our news. Welcome back. The Village Road Improvement Project is not making the morning commute any easier for some motorists as extensive roadworks continues on the major thoroughfare. Our Jamila Mizik visited the area this morning where motorists shared mixed reactions.
Diversions continuing in the Village Road area as signage pointed motorists to alternative routes while crews continue major roadworks along Village Road. Last month, Works Minister Alfred Sears told the media that the $6.4 million project was originally slated to be completed this month, but with more schools opening for the new school year and classes back in session at Queens College, some motorists weren't too happy about their morning commute.
It would have been good if that get fixed before schools open. That would be great.
It was rough. It was really rough. You know, we don't know how much longer it's gonna be before this gets cleared up. But yeah, but we made it.
But not everyone expressed frustration. Others say they were surprised it was not as difficult as they thought it would be.
This morning was really easy. I didn't have that much trouble getting in and out, and I thought things flowed very smoothly. I mean, I've been on this road before, so now I kind of know where the closures are, and I think once you're coming from the Montague area, it's really simple.
The traffic wasn't too bad. It was smooth sailing, so I got in and I now leaving. The signage that were placed throughout the neighboring community was properly placed.
So
So you had no issues? No issues at all.
Not so bad this morning because we went in here early. It's best to come early in the morning.
Now, Minister of Works and Utilities Alfred Sayers says the work is expected to be completed by the end of November. Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Mizik.
Thanks, Jamila. 58 students at the Hopetown Primary School in Elbow Key, Abaco are back in their classrooms for the first time in 3 years. Hurricane Dorian dealt the first blow, damaging the historic school. And before any real repairs could get underway, the pandemic hit, sending all classes to a virtual platform. But now, thanks to a lot of generous donors, 4 teachers welcoming the students back to a very historic campus.
The school is the heart of the community. This year, we anticipate some 58 students returning, which brings most of the families back to the island. In rebuilding the school, we had gracious private donations to rebuild the school. We were fortunate to restore the original section, which is one of the oldest schools in the country that's still in operation as a school, built in 1893. Most of that original structure stood firm, so we were able to rebuild that.
Game 3 of the WNBA playoffs goes to the Sky as John Quill and the Suns face elimination. Meanwhile, a mother and son to represent the country in archery. Marcellus Hall joins us now with sports. Marcellus?
Thanks, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Jonquil Jones and the Connecticut Sun started off the WNBA playoffs on a good note, running through the first round and going into the second, taking game 1 against the Chicago Sky. Since then, they've now dropped 2 in a row, find themselves on the verge of elimination. Let's take a look. Jonquil Jones, Connecticut Sun, back in action on Sunday, playing game 3 in their best-of-5 series with the Chicago Sky. Now the Sky won game 2 of the series, looking to take a 2-1 series lead. Connecticut trying to do the same on their home court. Turns out Sky loving the home court advantage, the ability to play on the Suns' floor, because they get the win here, 76-72. Close game, but they take a 2-1 series lead now. Meanwhile, as for Jonquil, not her best performance. Just 3 of 10 from the field. She played 24 minutes, finished up with 6 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. And they'll have to go back to the drawing board now and see if they can get things going again. Game 4 of that series, in case you're wondering, comes your way on Tuesday when they'll play once again in Connecticut. Meanwhile, some of the country's top archers will be headed out of town today as they head for the qualifying rounds of the CAC. And now it's a 9-member squad getting ready to head out of town, and as we mentioned, looking to do some good things. 2 of the members of the team, mother and son. A little bit of a historical thing there, and getting a word with those athletes as they get set and talked about just how it feels to be competing as mother and son.
She got me into the sport. She asked me if I wanted to try it one day, and I did, and I stuck with it ever since. And then she got bored of sitting in the car watching me, so then she decided to pick up a boat. So that's how she got it.
Meanwhile, president of the Archery Association, also pretty pleased with his team so far, looking forward to hoping that things go well. And that is your look at sports here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Thanks, Marcellus. Don't go away. Greg is back in the Weather Center tracking the tropics. What are we seeing, Greg?
Yes, the tropics. We are still watching that. 3 systems out there. We have Tropical Storm Earl that is churning to the east of the Bahamas, and then Daniel, which is a hurricane, still out there in the open Atlantic. And then we are watching another area down there, the Cape Verde Islands, that has about a 40% chance for formation, so activity still popping up in the tropics. We'll tell you more about that later in our extended forecast.
Thanks, Greg. We'll see you back in a moment. You're watching our news. Stay with us.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
Welcome back to our news. Mostly sunny skies ahead this week as forecasters are keeping an eye on the system developing in the Atlantic. Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center tracking the tropics in your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, we're still tracking the tropics. We have two systems out there, Hurricane Daniel and Tropical Storm Earl. Daniel is well out there in the open Atlantic. We'll get to that in our satellite view, but closer look at Earl, getting its act together, trying to develop an eye. If you notice, just a bit of a clearing there, but a lot of convection with that earlier today, flaring up. Most of it is dying down as the evening sets, but we expect Earl to continue strengthening. Trailing trough out of that, or rain band stretching across the Virgin Islands and into Puerto Rico, showers and thunderstorms associated with that. Earl will continue to move towards the west-northwest, and then eventually by Wednesday, we expect that system to turn more towards the north and possibly or likely to become a Category 1 hurricane. And as it moves towards the north and northeast over the course of the next several days, expected to strengthen even further, possibly even making a Category 3 status by the end of the week. And it should be passing to the east of Bermuda. But over the course of the next couple of days, we do expect some rather strong swells or large swells, moderate to large swells actually, to be affecting the Bahamas. So we're asking you boaters and beachgoers to do exercise some extreme caution out there for the balance of the week as the system passes to the east of us. And the reason why it's going to be taking that northern turn, dip in the jet stream, and then we have a high across the United States and another high out there in the open Atlantic. So the path of least resistance Earl is going to take, and that should keep it well away from us, and as I mentioned, just provide some rather large swells. Daniel's still out there in the open Atlantic. Lots of convection. It does have a well-defined eye and will continue to race off towards the northeast. Not really a problem for anybody at this time. High pressure ridge across the area will continue to dominate our weather over the next couple of days, so we're looking for some rather hot and steamy conditions with very light winds. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 10:38 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look at your extended forecast. Quiet weather with the occasional afternoon shower or thunderstorm in the forecast, but high pressure will dominate our weather, and we expect those temperatures to stay rather warm and toasty, so make sure you stay hydrated. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks so much, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.